Hello, welcome back to another segment in excerpts from A Spiritual Ascension. So, I wanted to talk about the dark night of the soul, which so many people have heard about, um, may not fully understand, or have said they've been through a dark night of the soul. Most spiritual people kind of know and understand what that means. And when I say spiritual, don't take that lightly as far as, but most spiritual people have heard that phrase of dark night of the soul. I think it's also become part of the popular mainstream culture that people kind of heard this thing and they grab onto it and say, maybe in a depressive mental state and say that I'm going through a dark night of the soul. But it's so much more than that. Um, Again, I've done several courses on the ascension process, and one of my courses is called Becoming a Spiritual Alchemist. And in that course, I talk at length about the different stages of a dark night of the soul. And actually, there's four phases, which we'll talk about. But this comes from John of the Cross. He was from the 16th century. And as what he stated was, I have to read it, sorry. In the dark night of the soul, bright flows the river of God. Um, so I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about these four stages, which when I first did the course, kind of not fully understanding what these, I knew that I had already gone through parts of these dark nights, but since I hadn't fully gone through my entire ascension journey, I didn't fully understand at that point everything that was happening to me. So, um, the first part is the activation, the active night of senses. And in the second stage is the passive night of senses. Third stage is the active night of, sorry, spirit, and then the passive night of spirit. So now that I'm on the other side of my journey, I can look back now and say, oh, it all makes sense as far as these four stages and exactly what I went through. So thinking about a dark night of the soul, and as I've said before, it's like your soul awakens, right? And that's that kind of that active night of the senses, like your senses kind of come alive, your soul coming alive to say, okay, it's time for you to awaken now. You've kind of been in this dormant period where this human 3D life that you've been living since you first came on earth or born and grew up and were kind of molded by your environment, your parents, your schooling, your friends, your siblings, everything like that. That's what has created your ego. Okay. Um, and now there's this purification that needs to occur. And that's why you're kind of activated. Okay. Your soul is activated to say, tapping on the shoulder, okay, it's kind of time for you to wake up. And you're kind of like, okay, what's going on here? Like, and a lot of people don't accept that um, what's going on or want to kind of figure out more, or they may think that they're going through some type of mental issue. And even other people they may talk to say, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm feeling a certain way. I no longer feel right kind of in my body too, that there's something different about me and I don't know what that is. So what this is it's a purification of the soul coming in and saying, okay, You've been who you were up until this time, but now it's time for you to purify yourself, purify what your soul has learned, because you're gaining wisdom in each lifetime, right? And to kind of, everybody calls kind of the death of the ego. You're never going to have a full death of the ego. What it is really a changing, a dissolution of who you used to be. And as I said before, you're living two lives within one lifetime. So there's this dissolution starting to take place of who you were molded to be. Okay, hopefully all that makes sense. Um, as you come into this second stage, this passive night of the senses, it's kind of what I would refer to more of this learning stage, um, where you're wanting knowledge, want more and more knowledge, and also this passive thing of knowing that who you are is not who you truly are, if that makes sense too. Who you were raised to be, who you were molded to be in this lifetime. It's like your soul saying, well, that's not truly who you are, right? This is just who you were molded to be, Marilyn, in this lifetime. Okay. So there's this kind of passive time that goes along where I know for me, it was like I wanted more and more information, kind of this period of, say, quiet period where people may see a change in you. You're a little bit, something a little bit different about you, but you may not reveal kind of what you're totally going through. If you understand that you're now have allowed your soul to awaken and to start going through this transformation. So then I would say that that stage three, that active night of the soul of the spirit now, is kind of like divine stepping in and saying, okay, you've gotten to a certain stage on your journey, okay, and it's time for you to now actively allow your soul to grow. And this is where, if you've been following along with my story, where I was kind of of taken out of everything that I knew, right? Um, Worked on Wall Street for almost 20 years and taken out of that situation and kind of thrust into this void period of not knowing what the heck was happening. So to me, that's that active night of spirit, the divine stepping in and saying, okay, you've been through this kind of quiet period. And I have to say my quiet period went on for how many years? 19. For about, I'm going to say about 5, 6 years was that quiet period. So you're not always going to be, there's going to be periods of time where you may want to isolate yourself or you're not feeling good, but that's not really the entire that's a part of a dark night of the soul. So you can say that for a few weeks you're going through like some kind of downward, just not feeling yourself or whatever. That's just a temporary part in this phase. Okay, if that makes sense. So as I said, my first part probably like started in 2012 was when I awoken. Okay. And then 2014 is when I kind of realized that there was more to this life than what is in this 3D. So there's like that 2 year period, which I would say was that active part of my soul kind of awakened. And then from like 2014 to 2020, about 6 years, was that kind of that passive time where all I was doing was research, 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 studying metaphysics, studying anything spiritual. That's when I became a Reiki Master. That's when I also did my 200-hour yoga yoga instructor certification. So I was trying to find anything I could to figure out what this was that my soul was trying to tell me. And all during that time, you're also going through this purification period where understanding that your soul is now trying to play a bigger part in your life, because before it was kind of quiet, dormant within you. I mean, your soul is always active, but it's saying when it's time to wake up now and for you to kind of get rid of this person that you were molded to be in this lifetime, okay, which is not your true essence. All right, so now getting to that third stage of that active night of spirit. That's probably for me was 2020 when my journey began. And all of a sudden I was thrust into this journey, not understanding what the heck was going on. And for those 5 years, this active, really boom, 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 one thing happening after another, of ridding myself of people, places, situations, things that no longer served my highest good. Okay. Now that's ended. The beginning of that of this year, 2025, that all ended for me. And now I'm in this passive night of spirit where, especially during that third stage, the dark night of the soul, you're kind of learning to connect with the divine even more so on a more intimate basis. Okay. Um, I still had a lot of old views from my past that I needed to rid myself of also. And now truly fully understanding the ways of spirituality and not that I believe me, I'm still learning so many new things, and it's so beautiful and it's so awesome when you realize that, like, I can't get, like, you just can't get enough. And I, like I said, I've been going through down these rabbit holes and these rabbit holes, but there's this passiveness now of no longer having to be the active part in getting to that next stage. It's kind of like the divine picks you up and is now carrying you along. And this is the stage where all your manifestations start to come in. As I said, when I started my active stage back in 2020, the active night of the spirit, I lost everything, lost totally everything. And by the time 3 years in, I had only the clothes on my back, had no home. I was homeless. And like I've been saying, went from Wall Street to the street, and everything is now being reestablished, but in a totally different way because now I'm living my second life within one lifetime. So I'm in that fourth stage, dark night of the soul, where I'm still in this kind of, I've been in this kind of isolation period for the last 2.5 months, where it's kind of this final stage of quietness, um, spirit, learning to trust. Like I've already had to learn to trust spirit wholeheartedly, but to totally put my trust in spirit with everything and allowing spirit now to bring me my manifestations, my gifts, because of enduring everything that I've gone through. So it's in this receptive stage. Okay. Um, I know how long I have to run after it and try to say, like, like you're get to this last stage of being quiet and everyone has been removed from your life. Well, now, and as I just did um, a video yesterday on meeting your new soul family, connecting to your new soul family, all these new people who will be a part of your life for the rest of this second life. Okay. And it's like, I can't even imagine going back, was that 2012, 13 years ago that I would ever end up now here where I am. And being available to you um, to answer any questions that you have about your own journey and about those four nights of the dark nights of the soul and um, things that you may go through along your own journey. So I'm here for that for you. There's a link to book time with me, to spend time with me. If you would also like a reading, I'm a psychic medium also. You can book time with me to do that also. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your story. And I look forward to seeing you next time.